There's a battle raging in the quiet corners of your mind, a storm of voices, doubts, and distractions all fighting for your attention. Every day, the world gets louder. Notifications ping, expectations pile up, everyone demands a piece of you until your dreams are drowned out by noise. But here's the truth: greatness isn't built in chaos, it's carved in silence. This is your moment to shut out the world, to reclaim the focus you lost, to hear the voice that matters most, your own. It's time to conquer the noise. The alarm clock rings. It's 5:37 a.m., but already the world is awake around you. Somewhere outside, a car horn blares. Someone's arguing in the next apartment. Your phone lights up with news you didn't ask for, messages you haven't answered, and tasks you haven't finished. It's tempting, so tempting, to reach for that phone, to scroll for a moment, to ease yourself into the day with other people's noise filling your mind. But for a long moment, you just lie there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of another day pressing in before it's even begun. You think about your responsibilities, your family, your work, the people who count on you. You think about your dreams, the ones you had when you were younger, the ones that still flicker in your chest, sometimes burning hot, sometimes fading to ash. You think about how easy it would be to get swept away by the current, to do what you've always done, to let the noise win. But deep down, there's a tension. You sense that something isn't right, that you're living your days out of rhythm with yourself. Maybe you remember being a kid, waking before sunrise just to have a moment of quiet before the world rushed in. Or maybe it's the feeling you get late at night when everyone else is asleep and for a few sacred minutes, it's just you and your thoughts, raw, unfiltered, honest. This is the context of your life now. A life filled with movement and expectation, with the constant hum of other people's opinions, their judgments, their worries. Every day, the noise grows louder. Social media scrolls become a blur of highlight reels, reminders of what you haven't done, places you haven't seen, things you haven't achieved. Work emails chase you out of the office and into your home. Family and friends mean well, but sometimes their advice, their worries, their stories just add more to the pile. For many people, the noise is a dull H. It's the reason you forget why you walked into a room, why you can't remember the last time you really listened to your own thoughts. It's the hum of doubt in the background, always there, telling you you're running out of time, that you'll never catch up, that you should be doing more, moving faster, being better. And every time you try to rise above it, to do something just for yourself, the noise rises with you. A tidal wave of reminders that you're not enough, that the world is moving on without you. But there's another way to look at this story, a deeper, more hopeful truth. Because inside you, beneath all the noise, there's a quiet place, a space untouched by the world's opinions, a voice that doesn't shout but whispers, reminding you of what really matters, of who you really are. That voice isn't easily heard. It's drowned out by deadlines, to-do lists, and the need to perform. But it's there, waiting for a moment of silence for you to choose to listen. As you move through your day, you become acutely aware of the noise. It's in the way people talk over each other in meetings, trying to sound smarter or stronger. It's in the constant buzz of notifications, each one promising something urgent, but rarely delivering anything important. You feel it in your bones. This cultural addiction to urgency, this need to fill every second with information or entertainment, lest you fall behind. You notice how people seem uncomfortable with silence. In elevators, at red lights, even waiting in line at the store. Everyone reaches for a distraction. No one wants to be alone with their thoughts. And yet, you wonder, what are we running from? What are we so afraid to hear in the quiet? You think back to the people you admire, real people, not celebrities or social media stars, but those who seem unshakable, who move through the world with purpose and calm. Maybe it's a grandparent who never raised their voice, but commanded respect with their presence. Maybe it's a mentor at work who listens more than they speak, whose words carry weight because they're not just echoing the noise. Or maybe it's someone you've never met, but whose story you know, a story of quiet strength, of overcoming hardship, not by shouting, but by standing firm. You realize that these people have something in common. They know how to tune out the noise. They know how to create space for what matters. They don't let the world dictate the pace or the direction of their lives. Instead, they move from a place of deep conviction, a place that can only be found in silence. This is not just a personal struggle. It's a cultural one. We live in a time that celebrates speed, productivity, and constant connection. We're told that to succeed, we have to keep up, keep moving, keep shouting. But the truth is, most of us are exhausted mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We're hungry for something real, something lasting, something that doesn't disappear the moment the noise returns. And so you begin to ask yourself, what if I chose differently? What if instead of reacting to every demand, every distraction, every expectation, I created space for my own voice? What if I made silence a priority, not as an escape, but as a strategy? What if the answer isn't to outshout the world, but to become so deeply grounded that the world's noise can't shake you? You remember small moments of clarity, those times when you were alone, when you heard your own thoughts clearly, when a solution to a problem just appeared, or when you finally understood what you needed to do. Those moments didn't come in chaos. They came in the quiet, in the space between the noise. You start to see the noise for what it is, a test, a challenge, an opportunity. Because in the end, the world isn't going to get quieter. The demands aren't going away. But you can change how you respond. You can decide right now to create your own silence, to build a space inside yourself that no one else can touch. This setup isn't about running away from the world. It's about learning to stand firm in it. To be the person who, in the midst of chaos, finds calm, who, in the middle of distraction, finds focus, who, surrounded by noise, still hears the truth. You sit quietly, letting these thoughts settle in. The day stretches before you. There will be challenges. There will be distractions. There will be noise. But you are not powerless. You have a choice. And with that choice comes the possibility of real change, not just for today, but for every day that follows. This is the beginning of your journey, a journey to conquer the noise, not by fighting it head on, but by rising above it, by returning to yourself, by listening for the voice that's been waiting all along, the voice that says you are enough, you are strong, and you are ready. You step into the world with new resolve. The decision to conquer the noise is fresh, and for a moment, you feel strong, almost invincible. But the world is not built to accommodate silence or the clarity that comes from solitude. The moment you walk into your living room, the television shouts the day's tragedy, the kitchen clock ticks with mechanical impatience, and your phone, always within reach, demands your attention with messages, emails, alerts, and the ever-present scroll of curated lives and opinions. You try to resist. You try to tune it out. Maybe you leave your phone in the other room as you prepare for work. Maybe you set a rule, no news, no social media, just the basics. But the world has grown skilled at slipping past your guard. Your mind, trained by years of habit, itches for distraction. You glance at the empty phone cradle. Did you miss something urgent? What if someone needs you? A restless energy hums in your fingertips, a subtle fear that if you're not plugged in, you'll be left behind. The battle intensifies at work. You walk in, determined to stay focused, to protect the little quiet you carve for yourself. But the office itself is a cacophony of noise, literal and figurative. Colleagues crowd the coffee machine, laughing too loud, exchanging half-truths and complaints about deadlines. Your boss wants something urgent before noon. Your email inbox swells with unread messages, each one a digital knock, another invitation to break your focus. A meeting is called. You try to listen, to contribute, but the conversation quickly derails. People interrupt, defend, posture, perform. You wonder how much of what's being said actually matters. You catch yourself zoning out, your mind flickering between your own worries and the never-ending parade of urgent tasks. The noise is so thick you can almost taste it. Metallic, sharp, exhausting. For a moment, you feel small, swept up in currents you can't control. There's a flash of self-doubt. Maybe you're not cut out for this. Maybe everyone else thrives in this chaos. Maybe you're the problem for wanting something quieter, something deeper. For a second, you consider giving in, letting the noise win. It would be easier, after all, to just float with the current, to drown your instincts in other people's demands in the comfort of distraction. But something stops you, a memory, maybe, or a whisper of that inner voice you found earlier. You remember why you started this journey, why you promised yourself things would be different. The decision isn't easy. It's not heroic, not a cinematic moment where the hero stands tall above the crowd. It's quiet, uncomfortable, and real. You have to choose over and over to come back to yourself, to honor your own boundaries, even when no one else will. It's in these moments that you encounter true resistance, not from the world, but from within. the urge to check your phone, to answer every email instantly, to fill the silence with anything at all. You feel anxious, even guilty, when you say no to a meeting that could have been an email, or when you carve out 10 minutes at lunch just to breathe. You feel selfish for needing space, for protecting your own mind. Society doesn't always understand. You notice it in the way people react when you step away from group chats, when you say no to extra work, when you close your office door. Some people take it personally. Some think you're arrogant, cold, or not a team player. The subtle pressure mounts to conform, to be available, to answer every call. The world does not reward silence. It rewards visibility, activity, constant engagement. You begin to realize to conquer the noise is not just to find quiet, but to go against the grain, to walk a path most people avoid. The struggle becomes internal as well. There's a voice in your head that argues with you. What if you miss something important? What if you're falling behind? What if you're letting people down? The noise becomes self-generated, a product of years spent believing that your worth is tied to your productivity, your availability, your performance under pressure. You try different strategies. You block time on your calendar for deep work, only to find it eaten away by quick requests and urgent interruptions. You try to meditate, but your thoughts race louder than ever. You take walks without your phone, only to feel the phantom buzz of notifications you're missing. Sometimes the effort to protect your peace feels like another burden, fight that never ends. The setbacks pile up. Maybe you miss a deadline because you were too focused on one task. Maybe you upset a friend who expected an instant reply. Maybe you feel the sting of isolation, the loneliness that comes with doing something different, something that others don't understand. Yet in the midst of these setbacks, something changes. Each time you hold your ground, each time you say no to the noise, you feel a spark of power, small at first, but growing. You realize that every boundary you protect is a step toward your real goals, the ones that matter most. There's a morning when you wake up and for the first time, you don't reach for your phone. You just breathe. The world is still noisy. There's still chaos outside your window, but inside, there's a little more quiet. You notice thoughts you haven't heard in years, ideas, memories, truths that belong only to you. At work, you try something different. In the middle of a tense meeting, you listen more than you speak. You wait for the noise to settle before you respond. Your words land differently. People lean in, the room shifts. You notice the power of silence, the way it commands respect, the way it creates space for others to be real. Later, a colleague comes to you frustrated and overwhelmed. You listen, really listen, without interrupting, without offering quick fixes. For the first time in weeks, they feel heard. For the first time, you feel the quiet strength that comes from being fully present. But the journey is not linear. There are days when the noise wins. When you scroll for hours, when you answer every message, when you lose yourself in the tide of other people's demands, you feel the old patterns returning, the restlessness, the self-doubt, the fatigue. But now you recognize them. You know they are not the end of the story. You start to see the conflict differently, not as a battle to be won once, but as a discipline to be practiced every day. Like any discipline, it requires grit, patience, and a willingness to fail and try again. You realize that true strength is not the absence of noise, but the ability to return to yourself no matter how loud the world becomes. You remember moments from your past, times when you faced adversity, when you stood alone, when you made hard choices. You remember the pain, but also the pride that came from doing what was right, not what was easy. You begin to see that conquering the noise is about more than just silence. It's about becoming the kind of person who can stand firm in any storm. One evening, you sit with a loved one, a parent, a partner, a child. They ask why you've changed, why you seem quieter, more focused, more distant at times. For a moment, you hesitate. Will they understand? Will they think you're pulling away? But you speak honestly, your voice steady. I'm trying to be present. You say, I'm trying to listen. There's so much noise in the world, and I need to hear what matters. Your voice, my own. I want to live with purpose, not just react to everything that happens. They are silent for a long moment. Then, quietly, I notice the difference. I feel it. Thank you for being here. It's not a victory parade. It's not a movie ending, but it's real. In that moment, the noise fades and something true fills the space. You understand now the conflict isn't just with the outside world or even with your own habits. The real conflict is with the idea that your life must be lived at the volume the world sets for you, that you are only as valuable as your ability to keep up, to be seen, to be heard above the crowd. But you are learning to live by a different measure. You are learning that quiet discipline is stronger than loud ambition. That focus is more powerful than frenzy. That your worth is found not in what you produce, but in who you become. As the days pass, the world does not get quieter, but you do. You find ways to carve out silence in the early morning, in the middle of chaos, in the simple act of choosing what matters. You learn to carry that silence with you, to let it anchor you when the noise threatens to overwhelm. Sometimes in the darkest hours, the doubt returns. You wonder if it's worth it, if you're missing out, if you're falling behind. But now there is a quiet voice inside you, a voice that grows stronger with every choice, every act of discipline, every moment of silence. You are not the noise. You are the calm within it. And every day you prove it. One choice, one breath, one quiet act of courage at a time. It happens on a day that feels, at first, like any other. The world is just as loud, maybe even louder. Clouds crowd the sky. The city seems restless. And inside, you are wound tight from a dozen small demands. Meetings drag on, every screen glows with more work to be done. And the noise, so persistent, so relentless, presses against the fragile walls of your focus. By lunchtime, your head aches. By mid-afternoon, your patience is thin as paper. You feel yourself slipping, ready to let the chaos win. But something stops you. Not a grand event, not a shattering crisis, just a single ordinary moment. You close your eyes. You listen, not to the noise, but to what's beneath it, the steady rhythm of your own breath, the heartbeat that has always been yours. And suddenly the world seems to fall away. For the first time in a long time, you are not thinking about what you must do next or what others expect from you or what you have failed to accomplish. Instead, you simply are in this space, so quiet, so real. You remember who you are beneath the layers of distraction. You remember the child who dreamed without limits, the young person who believed in meaning, the adult who still aches for something true. A profound realization settles over you. All the noise was never yours to carry. The doubts, the expectations, the relentless comparisons. They are background music, not the story itself. You open your eyes and nothing outside has changed. The world is just as messy, just as demanding. But inside, something is different. There's a strength there, a quiet, resilient power you thought you'd lost. It's not loud. It doesn't need to be. It's the power of choosing your own pace, your own values, your own voice. You see now that conquering the noise was never about building wall to keep the world out. It was about finding a foundation so steady, so rooted in your deepest truths that nothing outside can shake it. You realize you can listen without absorbing. You can engage without losing yourself. You can care deeply without being swept away. This is the moment your silent resilience turns into clarity. You look back at the small victories every time you chose to pause every time you sat with discomfort instead of fleeing it. Every time you listen to your own voice instead of chasing the latest trend or opinion. Each act of discipline was a brick laid in the fortress of your character. Each moment of quiet was a seed planted in the garden of your future. The transformation isn't dramatic. It's gentle, steady, unmistakable. You find yourself responding to the world with a calm authority. When conflict erupts at work, you hold your ground, speak plainly, and refuse to be pulled into chaos. When distractions swirl, you let them pass. When others push their noise onto you, you choose what enters and what doesn't. People start to notice. They sense the shift, though they can't quite name it. Colleagues ask how you stay so focused, so calm. Friends wonder why you're harder to rattle, why your words seem to land with new weight. Some admire it, some resist it, but you no longer need approval. Your self-worth is no longer tied to external noise. You have found something quieter and infinitely stronger. One evening, as dusk folds quietly into night, you walk outside and let the world envelop you. The city hums, life pulses, and you move through it, not as a victim of noise, but as a witness to it. Every sound, every distraction, every demand is there, but it doesn't own you. You own your response. A loved one calls, their voice trembling with stress. You listen, really listen, not to fix, but to understand. You speak softly, your words simple and honest. You can't silence the world. You tell them. You can choose what you let inside. You can choose your own quiet. And in that moment, you see it, your journey was never just for you. Your resilience creates space for others. Your silence becomes an invitation for those around you to find their own calm, their own voice, their own power. The breakthrough is not the absence of noise, but the mastery of your attention within it. You have learned to let the world be what it is, while you become who you are meant to be. The chaos outside no longer disturbs the peace inside. Your presence is unshakable. This clarity, hard-won and real, is yours to keep. The world remains loud, unpredictable, and full of demands. But now you know you are not defined by what surrounds you, but by the quiet strength within you. You are the calm in the storm, the steady flame in the wind, the voice that whispers truth when the world is screaming for your attention. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to outshout the world. You only need to return again and again to that deep place of knowing, where resilience becomes power, where silence becomes clarity, where you are finally undeniably home. You wake the next morning before the alarm in a room that's still and gentle with early light. The world outside is unchanged. Traffic already stirring. Another day unfolding with its own music of chores, conversations, and unseen pressures. But inside, everything is different. It's not that the noise has vanished. It's that you're no longer its prisoner. You move through your morning rituals with a grounded sense of presence. Each breath deliberate, each step steady. The peace you feel is not accidental. It is earned, chosen, protected by a series of small daily acts of discipline and courage. There is clarity now. You know what matters to you, what voices you will honor, what distractions you will let pass. The frantic energy that once drove you has quieted, replaced by something more enduring, purpose. When you speak, your words carry a certain weight, not because they are loud, but because they come from a place of authenticity. When you listen, you are truly present, honoring the dignity and worth of the people around you. You see that every interaction, every decision is a chance to reflect the values you hold close. Respect, worth, quiet strength, authenticity. The world, of course, continues to spin at its frantic pace. Emails flood and deadlines loom, and people still push their noise toward you. But now, you respond differently. You no longer chase every demand or jump at every alert. Instead, you filter the noise through a new lens. Is this aligned with my values? Does this honor my purpose? Does this bring me closer to the person I want to be? If the answer is no, you let it go without guilt, without apology. As you move through the day, you notice small shifts. Colleagues pause when you speak, sensing your attention is real. Friends open up to you, drawn by the calm in your presence. Your family feels the difference at the dinner table. Conversations deepen, laughter comes easier. Everyone settles a bit more comfortably into themselves. Your authenticity invites others to bring their whole selves, to shed the armor of performance and connect in ways that feel real. You realize that conquering the noise was never about retreating from the world, but about meeting it with a new kind of power. The world needs more people who can listen deeply, who can hold their ground with quiet dignity, who can choose peace over panic and clarity over chaos. You see that your quiet strength is not a shield, but a bridge, a way to bring people together, to make space for what matters, to live and lead by example. Looking back, you see the road you traveled was not easy. The setbacks, the doubts, the pressure to conform, they were real and they shaped you. But so did your choices, the moments you returned to silence, the times you stood firm for your own boundaries, the courage it took to be different in a world addicted to noise. Each of these moments built the foundation you stand on now, a foundation of self-respect and worth that no one can take from you. You see, too, that you are not alone. There are others like you, quiet warriors, gentle leaders, people who move through the world with integrity and calm. You notice them more now, drawn to their steadiness, inspired by their example. You realize you are part of something larger, a community of people, sometimes invisible, whose strength lies not in shouting, but in standing true to themselves. The lesson is simple, but profound. You do not have to live at the world's volume. You can choose your own. Your value is not determined by how much noise you make, but by the depth of your presence, the honesty of your words, and the steadiness of your heart. True respect is not demanded. It is embodied, shown the way you move, the way you listen, the way you honor yourself and others. This is the ultimate reward, not just peace, but a sense of renewal. Each day is a new opportunity to practice what you have learned, to build on the quiet victories of the past, to deepen your roots and extend your reach. You are stronger, not in spite of the noise, but because you have learned to find silence within it. You are more compassionate, more resilient, more yourself. You look to the future with a new kind of hope, not the hope that the world will get easier, but the conviction that you are ready to meet it, whatever comes. You know there will be days when the noise returns, when old habits pull at you, when the world tries to claim your attention and your peace. But now you are prepared. You carry silence inside you, a well of strength and clarity that cannot be shaken. Before bed, you pause once more in quiet gratitude for all the noise that taught you what matters, for every challenge that made you stronger, for every moment you chose to listen to your own voice. The world, for a moment, is completely still. You are at home in yourself. This is your victory, not the absence of struggle, but the triumph of authenticity. Not perfection, but presence. Not escaping the noise, but rising above it again and again. In a world that demands you shout, you have learned the power of silence. In a culture that rushes, you have discovered the wisdom of moving with purpose. In a life full of distractions, you have found your center. And so, as another day closes, you rest with the knowledge that you have not just survived the noise, you have conquered it with quiet strength, with respect, with dignity, with the unwavering belief that your life, lived true, is enough. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the endless noise of the world, the pressure to react, to prove yourself, to keep up, know that you're not alone. There is power in silence. True transformation begins when you turn down the volume of outside demands and reconnect with your own purpose. The greatest breakthroughs happen not in chaos, but in moments of clarity. Today, choose to honor your own voice. Give yourself the permission to move through life with intention, not just reaction. If this message spoke to you, if you're ready to rise above the noise and claim your own calm, share the one word that defines your journey right now. Is it discipline, focus, respect, or maybe silence? Comment below with that word and let's build a community grounded in quiet strength. Your story, your presence, and your peace all matter here.